Hey guys, how's it going? I am bringing you another video. This time I'm looking at a God Mage composition. This is something that I've been forcing recently, and because of the, lack of people trying to go for God Mages, it's actually moderately easy to force God Mages these days. The composition that I had in this game involved a Storm Shaman and a Siren as my two CC units, and then I had obviously God of Thunder, God of War, the Source, as well as Thunder Spirit for my Mage bonus, the two Warlocks with Desperate Doctor and Soul Reaper, and actually something that I've added recently thanks to watching Oran play in the GLL tournament. I actually added a Ripper and tried to get that Ripper to level 3. The constant true damage spam, plus how tanky it is, gives you another tank in this composition because you only have God of War as your tank. And his true damage, the ability to just constantly spin and deal true damage, actually helps you versus knights. The true damage goes straight through the knight shields. They actually can't block or reduce that damage that he can output. So as long as he's tanky enough and he survives long enough, and especially with the Warlock bonus and the constant ability to spam his ability, that actually puts him in a good spot in a God comp. So I've actually included him in this composition because it helps you versus a lot of knight compositions that would usually do quite well against you, especially how popular knights are right now in the meta. Positioning is as shown. I like to put God of War up by himself. I like him to take the brunt of the damage. I like to have Storm Shaman and Siren at the front so they take a little bit of damage to generate mana. God of Thunder needs to be on the row just in front of your last row because he doesn't have a very long attack range, but I like to protect him with everybody around him. But what you're going to notice in this video is that my positioning changes wildly depending on who I'm facing. God comps are very flexible with positioning, so we'll talk about that once we get towards the end of the game. Again, I'm going to 2x this video, but I am going to slow it down at the end because there was some crucial positioning stuff that I want to talk about. Again, Switch giveaway. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and then leave a comment on the video. The comment will guarantee you an entry for this month. I'll do the giveaway draw at the start of October. And then also, if you want to get more giveaway chances, go over to Claytano, who's giving away a PS4 this month. So go and check him out and do the same thing. So I'm going to show you basically the game up until the point that I slowed it down, which is kind of later into the game. Again, I was going into this video with a thought that maybe I could show you a Beast Warrior composition and show you that Beast Warrior is good, but every time I've tried to record that video, Beast Warrior has not been available, unfortunately. That's just how it is. So when it comes to gods, this is what I like to think about. I sell off the Tusk Champion here, by the way, because actually having a pair of Soulbreakers and then a Skybreaker is better as an early game. Remember, you're always trying to get a good early game. You're not trying to build your composition in these first 3 rounds. You're not trying to pick up every knight that you see. You're not trying to pick up that kind of stuff. You're just trying to build a good early composition because goblins are super flexible. You can build goblins into anything, realistically, and if you do really well with them, you can even high roll into a goblin composition itself. But I like to build goblins, especially just 2 goblins when I've got a God of War, because that works because you have the mech bonus sometimes. Well, I don't have the mech bonus in this instance, but if you have like a Heaven Bomber and a Skybreaker, you can have the mech bonus alongside the god and you don't deactivate god comps. So there was a part of me here that was thinking maybe I should just open Fort because I didn't have the best early game. But what I do have is 2 pairs of very strong S tier units. So I decided to stick it out and essentially wait and see if I can find an upgrade to my Soulbreaker and my Skybreaker, because that would allow me to sort of take the early game by storm. Losing the first round is not an indicator that you need to lose streak. And you can see here I actually picked up a Source and I also picked up another God of War. And I was like, wait a second, I've got a Source too. This is actually a pretty good start. I'm not going to field the Source 2, of course. I'm going to use it later. I'm not going to field the Source 2, but I'm going to just keep her in the background so that if I do find a Thunder Spirit and I find a God of War 2, like we're in a pretty good spot to give a God comp a go. And you can see here, I'm losing, but like not by much versus these people. I am taking some guys out, but I'm expecting to lose at this point because I don't have any 2 stars. I really am just searching for 2 stars. I need a 2-star Skybreaker, a 2-star God of War, 2-star Soulbreaker, that kind of stuff. And I find my 2-star God of War right here, and I think, actually, this is pretty good. I'm very happy with this. I'll happily consider, and actually even just getting rid of the 4 units that you see, the 4 1 costs. I could have even leveled up here if I really wanted to, but I'm actually just happy to sit on a God of War 2 at this point in time and just try and use that to win from this point forward. At least start to generate a win streak, which is what I'm doing right here. God of War 2 is just a really good tank, so if you can find him, you can pretty much pair him up with whatever you like. Activating the God bonus makes him stronger, but it's not the be-all and end-all. So you can see here that I actually find a Frost Knight, but I also find the Ripper, which is most important. The Ripper is really important to me for the pure fact that I want to have him in my composition as this goes on. I actually end up selling that Frost Knight that I literally just created because he's actually not that good. Frost Knight level 2 is just not a great unit overall. To be honest with you, he's good in the night comp. He's good when you pair him up with a disruptor, disruptor for instance, or a desperate doctor. But to be honest with you, he's not a particularly good unit by himself. So you can see I've picked up 2 pairs of Rippers here. I've also got my pair of Unicorns. I actually decided to roll just because I had some excess gold, and actually it gave me enough to get a Desperate Doctor. Desperate Doctor level 1 is almost certainly better than a Source 2, because I'm not actually in need for much mana with my composition right now. I don't really have much need for it. Unfortunately, the guy who was like high rolling just beat the crap out of me. Like, he's got so many 2-star Assassins and a 2-star Swordman, but, you know, I'm not too fussed, because I'm trying to sort of get pieces together for my composition. You can see I'm looking at that Lord of Sand, like, I really like Lord of Sand. I actually end up taking off one of my Soul Breakers as well, because Lord of Sand is just a good unit to have in Gods, especially in the early game. I really like Lord of Sand in the early game. I think as the game gets later and people start to go into a corner position, Lord of Sand starts to lose some of his power, but I actually really like Lord of Sand in an early God composition overall. So here I could level up and put on another Ripper, or I could roll, or I could just try and get to 10 gold. We're on the Rock Golem. I could sell off my 2 Skybreakers and a Soulbreaker to get to level 10 and then just bring in Ripper. And getting that 10 gold would give me 1 extra interest gold on this round. This is something that I could have done, but obviously the tantalizing thought of just a 2-star Soulbreaker and another 2-star Skybreaker is probably a little bit too much to give up on at this point in time. And you can see here that I've actually just got a 2-star Ripper, so I'm going to stick the 2-star Ripper in. I'm actually going to buy the Heaven Bomber as well, because the Heaven Bomber, in my eyes, is better than Skybreaker when I have the Mage bonus activated. So Skybreaker will last me a little while, but Heaven Bomber will last me a little bit longer, especially when I get my Mage bonus activated. So you can see in this early game, I'm kind of balancing between getting an economy going, but I'm also balancing just getting good pairs on the field. Now, at level 10, so around 10 plus, I'm actually in the situation where Skybreakers are not that useful anymore. I haven't really snowballed them enough to make them useful, so I could consider selling my Skybreakers. I could also consider selling my Heaven Bombers, because by the time I get to round 15 plus, I'm probably not going to need them. Like, you often look to pair Goblins in the early game for the simple reason that you just want to build a win streak. If you haven't built a win streak, the only thing Goblins are going to do for you is essentially make your life a little bit easier in terms of lowering the health you lose. You can see that I did end up selling my... you can see I did end up selling my Goblins to get me to 20 gold, which allowed me to get a little bit of extra interest gold in that round. I also ended up picking up a Flaming Wizard and giving her a Magica Crystal. I actually wouldn't use a Flaming Wizard if I didn't have a Magica Crystal, just simply because she doesn't generate mana quickly enough. But unfortunately, I'm kind of like middling right now. I'm kind of winning and losing, and because of that, you can see that I'm actually just going to start selling things to hit certain gold thresholds. So I actually sell my Flaming Wizard in that scenario, because she's actually not that useful. She didn't perform very well in the last round, and I'd rather just get to 30 gold. For me, the most important tactic for Gods is your economy, because you need to be level 8 minimum to make Gods work, and you need to potentially get to level 9 to give yourself the better chance of getting a God of Thunder. So, in my eyes, the most important thing that you can do with a God comp is just economy. You see that I take the Source off and then add another Lord of Sand for the Wolf round. That's because Source is useless versus the Wolf round, and any unit, even at level 2, is usually better than her. And actually, Lord of Sand has got 10 base armor, and he's actually a great unit for neutral rounds in general. You'll see that he'll just apply a lot of CC to the Wolves and actually help me to beat them, because obviously I probably would have beaten them regardless with the Goblins that I had, but he definitely helped stabilize that round for me, and actually I think the Source would have been worse overall. So picking up a Siren here was a big deal for me, because I said, okay, well, the Siren's actually a good unit, and I have got the Magic Crystal for her, so let's get Siren on the board. I also had the Orb of Refresh. Sorry, that's the important part here. I actually had the Orb of Refresh, which means I have a level 1 Siren with Orb of Refresh. The problem is that she's level 1, and she just dies. So giving an Orb of Refresh, we've all learned a lesson here, giving an Orb of Refresh to a level 1 Siren is a bad idea, because level 1 Siren has got no HP, and she just sucks. If I can get her to level 2, the Orb of Refresh is an excellent addition to my lineup, and actually she'll survive long enough to sort of be good. You can see here that I'm now working with the Mage bonus. I'm actually going to sell off my Lord of Sand, because he isn't actually that good. Lord of Sand just isn't actually that good. Like, the longer the game goes. He's really, really good for the early game. Getting him to level 2 can really help you. He's got certain matchups that really work well for him. But overall, Lord of Sand, especially when you're going up against a lot of mages, just isn't that good. Because he's not really going to get that much CC off for the simple fact that, unfortunately for him, he just doesn't have the pathway to actually get those ultimates off. So you see, I'm just kind of putting my items on the correct units. I forgot to actually add my Shining Dragon, so it got automatically added for me. Luckily it chose right, but I'm still going up against people that are kind of high rolling right now. There's a lot of people that have got a level 3 Winter Karop Terran. You've got the guys with the level 2 Tortola Elder in the back. A lot of human mage compositions, and if you remember, human mages do very well against god mages because there's lots of silence there. So if you try to frontline your Siren and you try to frontline your Storm Shaman, those silences are going to give you a bad time. So you'll notice my positioning has changed slightly. I've accelerated or put up the positioning of my God of War and Ripper to give some more time to my Siren to actually get her ultimates off, which is going to allow my backline to survive a bit longer. You can see this guy absolutely crushed me because he got very lucky on the Night Shields, but I actually beat him, which for me to lose so badly, but then for him to beat me, didn't really make much sense to me, but, you know, alas, that's what it is. So I'm actually, as you can see, I'm kind of just accelerating my levels to level 8. This is something that's really important to do with God comps. If you have the economy, and you have to build that economy as early as possible, just get yourself to level 8 as quickly as possible. Remember, the win condition for a lot of God comps is just find God of Thunder, which makes it a very risky composition to run, and especially when you're looking at the composition that I've got right now, I don't have a level 2 Thunder Spirit, I don't have a level 2 Siren, I do now have a level 2 Siren, but, you know, overall I'm in a struggling position, just because I've kind of been a little bit lackluster on what I managed to find. Although I was saying that, I do find the God of Thunder on level 8. I did roll for him, I did get to level 8 specifically to find him, so there was a mixture here of both luck and good decision making. A lot of luck. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I never expect to find God of Thunder at level 8 because it's such a low chance to find a legendary, let alone find God of Thunder, but I was just very lucky. And sometimes this game's a little bit about luck, but what I did, and what is important for you guys to understand, is I maximized the chances of my luck. I gave myself the best platform to get lucky. So hopefully you guys understand that. You know, hopefully you guys understand that what I did, although I definitely was very lucky, I was doing it to maximize my chances of getting lucky, which is going to allow me to find God of Thunder because I just accelerated to level 8. I got to level 8 as quickly as possible. I hit it on round 21 and then had the gold to roll as well. I didn't have to spend an excessive amount of gold to roll down. So this is what you need to consider when you're playing. Definitely what you need to consider when you're playing gods in general. You just need to think about maximizing your luck. Get to level 8, get to level 9, try and find your way into these compositions by just giving yourself the best possible chance. So you can see here that even though I've got my god comp, I'm still losing to people like the human mage comps, which are definitely dealing me devastating blows. I need to get my Storm Shaman in, and I can see quite clearly that Storm Shaman is going to be a massive unit for me in this game. Just because I'm facing a lot of mage comps. Now, you're going to see me alter my positioning. I put my God of War up and my Siren up. You might wonder why I put my Siren up. Well, because I want her to get mana as quickly as possible. I want her to cast her ultimate within the first few seconds of the fight, and you can see it worked out versus this guy because he didn't really have that much frontline damage. So my Siren, with the Orb of Refresh and the Magic Crystal, plus the damage that she takes from the front line, actually gets her ultimate off much more quickly than she would do usually. And she's tanky enough as a level 2 Siren with the amount of mana generation that she's got. I trust that she's not going to die at the start of the round. The one risk that I have with this positioning is that I could get human silenced. But it's a risk that I have to take because I need to give myself the best shot of getting that Siren ultimate off as quickly as possible. Because if I get hit by a Storm Shaman ultimate before my Siren even get the chance to cast her ultimate, I'm in a bad way. Like, I'm in a really bad spot if my Siren cannot get her ultimate off before the Storm Shaman hits. So that's why I've altered my positioning slightly. You're going to see me alter even more as this game goes on, because as you can see here, like, there's a lot of human mage compositions or human mage dragon compositions, which unfortunately my Siren could get susceptible to the silences. I found another magic crystal, by the way, which is good for both my Storm Shaman and also my my God of Thunder. You can see I'm saving gold here because I realized that I need level 9. Like, I need to get level 9 to bring on Storm Shaman, and then I need to get level 9 to bring that anti-mage unit in, because I need this anti-mage unit. I'm actually going to struggle to beat a lot of these mage comps if I do not find my, or do not get my Storm Shaman on with that magic crystal. I am going to struggle, especially if my Siren gets altered, because you can see I'm looking at people and they are beating me on their screens still. I'm still getting beaten by a lot of these human mage comps. So I find my level 2 Soul Reaper. The unfortunate thing is that it meant that I wasn't able to actually get down to level 9. Actually, I wouldn't have been able to get to level 9 regardless without selling something. So I've been doing pretty well in a lot of these fights. But what you can see here is I ended up getting my Siren silenced. It is exactly what I talked about. My Siren got silenced, and I could do nothing versus these mage comps because I didn't have the Storm Shaman in. So what I'm going to do here is, as you can see, level up to level 9, and Storm Shaman goes in on the front line with a magic crystal. Very important that happens because, as you may know, you need to get kind of what happens in a lot of these comps is that if you get your silence off before the opponent gets their silence off, you win. And in this scenario, I also got wiped out. And this is because my positioning was a little bit whack. So I'm down at 4 HP. What you're going to see me do now is massively, massively alter my positioning so that I essentially maximize my chances versus these mage comps. I am going to move my Storm Shaman over to the side. I'm going to have my 2 tanks right up in the middle. There is no real rhyme or reason. There's no specific squares that I'm putting things on. All I'm doing is trying to separate out my important units for the future. Now, I'm actually doing this on Thunderhide round, as you can tell, but I'm just practicing for where I may want to position in the following rounds, because the majority of my competition is mages. There are very few full assassin compositions right now, which means that I don't need to worry about splitting my comp up. The reason I don't need to worry about splitting my comp up is because, like I said, there are just not enough assassins to make me worried. The guy at the top of the ladder is called Zyver. He does have assassins, but I don't think he has like a full assassin comp right now. I'm actually going to give this and create that pulse staff on my Storm Shaman because that gives him instant mana. And what you're also going to notice is that I pick up a level 3 Ripper, which is insane. Level 3 Ripper, I'm going to put him right in front of the mage comps because I want him to be the target. And I'm going to move the rest of my stuff kind of all over the place. The reason I'm doing this is because if they have a Storm Shaman, I'm going to reduce the chances that my entire lineup gets hit by a Storm Shaman. I split and put 2 units in front of my Siren and my Storm Shaman so they don't get human silenced. And essentially this gives me the best chances of having a successful round versus mages, not only on my board, but on the enemy's board too. And what you're seeing here is this is the guy that did have assassins early on, but he kind of went into like assassin mages, and we ended up doing really well here and beating him with the split positioning that we took. And we also picked up a load of good items to give me a Heaven's Gift, which I accidentally put on the Siren by mistake. I also picked up the start of an Orb of Refresh, which I'm going to put onto my Storm Shaman, because that's going to potentially give me an Orb of Refresh on my Storm Shaman, which obviously is going to be fantastic versus these mage builds. I'm looking for one more God of War to get my God of War 3, but we've got a Ripper 3, and he's a really good tank. Now remember, what I've done is I've split up my I split up my Storm Shaman and my Siren because they're important units and I don't want them to get silenced in one go. And then I've split up my God of Thunder onto the other side of things because I don't want him to get instantly blown up either. And my Siren will remain where she is because that's likely going to be the place where she can deal the most damage. Like I see, you can see she's avoiding God of War here, so she's actually getting more damage off because God of War actually reduces the amount of mana you can generate because you don't deal as much damage. And you can see with the silence combined with the Orb of Refresh Siren, our positioning has helped us beat these mage comps that we were not originally beating. And with like all of the stuff that's getting thrown my way, I've got another Orb of Refresh which I'm going to put on my Storm Shaman, of course. And I've also started picking up things like the defense for my God of War, which has been something that I've been struggling with this whole game. He hasn't really got much defense at all. And then I'm going to give like just random items to random people, realistically. Looking for a God of War 3, of course. God of War 3 would help me massively here, but unfortunately I don't find it. And versus one of the human mage guys who have been beating me the entire game. What you're going to see right now is a very awkward set of rounds. I got wiped out by a Tortola Elder ultimate, and it looks, I mean, I'm definitely losing this round, right? I'm 100% losing this round, but you'll see what happens right at the end. He gets beaten like a second before me. Now, that is something that's really interesting to note. Basically, I positioned the best I could to give me the best outcome on both my board and his board. It turns out that on his board, my Storm Shaman wasn't an idiot and actually silenced his Tortola Elder, and then we must have chain CC'd. We were lucky, but our positioning helped us, and that's why this late game positioning worked out so well for me, and why it looked so funny. It was just because I wasn't facing assassins. If there were assassins in the game, I would have had to keep it in a corner, potentially. But that was the best positioning to deal with human mages, and deal with the fact that I don't want to get Storm Shaman silenced. So that was really good. It also deals with Tortola. You don't get your entire team wiped out in one Tortola Elder ultimate like you do in a corner position, so it worked out, and hopefully that was helpful.